The words, "Mom, you really need to downsize," still echoed in my ears as I signed the final papers at the real estate office. My daughter Jennifer's voice had been so casual, so matter-of-fact, as if she wasn't asking me to leave the house I'd called home for 37 years. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was when my son Brian chimed in with, "Yeah, this place is way too much for someone your age," while sitting at my kitchen table, eating food I'd bought in the house where he'd been living rent-free for the past 12 years. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. My name is Diana, and I'm 68 years old. I worked as a registered nurse for 42 years before I retired in 2019. My husband Thomas and I bought our house in Raleigh, North Carolina, in 1988. It was a modest 4-bedroom colonial on a quiet street with good schools. We raised our 2 children there, Jennifer, now 43, and Brian, now 40. Thomas died suddenly of a heart attack in 2012. He was only 61. The grief nearly destroyed me. For months, I'd wake up reaching for him, forgetting he was gone. I'd set 2 coffee cups out of habit, then stand there staring at the extra cup, remembering. The house felt enormous and empty without him. Every room held memories: Thomas fixing the leaky faucet in the upstairs bathroom, Thomas painting the fence, Thomas grilling burgers in the backyard while the kids played. 6 months after the funeral, Jennifer showed up at my door with her husband Mark and their 2 kids, Aiden, who was 6 at the time, and Sophia, who was 4. Jennifer was crying. Mark had lost his job as an operations manager at a manufacturing plant. They'd been living paycheck to paycheck, and without his income, they couldn't make rent. "Mom, I hate to ask," Jennifer said, tears streaming down her face, "but could we stay with you? Just for a few months, until Mark finds something new?" How could I say no? This was my daughter. These were my grandchildren. Thomas would have wanted me to help family. "Of course," I said. "Stay as long as you need." They moved into the 2 bedrooms upstairs. I told myself it would be temporary. Mark was a hard worker. He'd find something soon. 3 months later, Brian showed up. He'd been living with his girlfriend Melissa in Charlotte, about 2 hours away. He worked in IT support, but the company had laid off half their staff. "Mom," he said on the phone, "I know Jen and Mark are staying with you. Is there room for me too? Just until I get back on my feet." I hesitated. The house was already full. But he was my son, my baby boy. I'd raised him to know he could always come home. "There's the guest room downstairs," I said. "It's yours." That was in 2013. It's now 2025. Let me paint you a picture of what the past 12 years have looked like. Mark did find a job eventually. About 8 months after they moved in, he got hired as a warehouse supervisor. It paid less than his old job, but it was something. I expected them to start looking for their own place. Instead, Jennifer came to me one evening after the kids were in bed. "Mom, I've been thinking," she said. "With Mark's new salary, we could afford our own place, but it would be really tight. Aiden's starting 1st grade, and we want him in a good school. If we stayed here, we could save money and give the kids stability. Would you be okay with that? We could help with expenses." The help with expenses never materialized. Mark's paychecks went toward their car payments, Jennifer's shopping trips to Target, and Aiden's soccer league fees. I paid the mortgage, utilities, property taxes, groceries, and everything else. But Jennifer did help around the house, cooking sometimes, doing laundry, and the kids were a bright spot in my life. Aiden was smart and sweet. Sophia was funny and affectionate. Having them around made the house feel less empty. Brian, meanwhile, was having a harder time. The IT job market was tough. He sent out dozens of applications, but couldn't land anything. Months turned into a year. He started getting depressed, spending most days in his room playing video games. I'd bring him lunch and find him in his pajamas at 2 in the afternoon. "Brian, honey, you need to get out of the house. Maybe volunteer somewhere? It could lead to connections." "I'm looking, Mom. It's just hard right now." I felt terrible for him. I'd slip him cash, sometimes $20 here, $50 there, for gas money, I'd say, even though he barely left the house. Finally, in 2015, he got hired at a small tech startup, part-time, no benefits, but it was something. I was so proud. I took him out to dinner to celebrate. "I'll start paying you back for everything," he promised over appetizers. He never did. The startup job lasted 9 months before the company folded. Then he was unemployed again. This cycle repeated itself 3 more times over the next few years. He'd get a job, work for 6 to 18 months, the company would downsize or close, and he'd be back to square one. Each time, I'd reassure him, "Don't worry, Brian. You can stay here as long as you need. Family takes care of family." In 2017, Aiden was starting middle school. Jennifer sat me down with a serious expression. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something important," she said. "Aiden has a real gift for baseball. His coach thinks he could go far, maybe even get a college scholarship someday. But he needs to join a travel team, and the fees are expensive. It's $5,000 for the year, plus travel costs for tournaments." I felt my stomach clench. $5,000 was a lot of money. I was living on my pension and Social Security, about $3,800 a month. The mortgage was paid off, thank God, but property taxes were $3,000 a year. Utilities, insurance, groceries for 6 people, gas, maintenance. It added up fast. "Jennifer, I don't know if I can afford that right now," I said carefully. Her face fell. "Mom, this is Aiden's future. You're always saying how important education is. This could be his ticket to college. And you're living here all alone in this big house with no expenses. Can't you help your grandson?" The guilt hit me like a punch. She was right, wasn't she? This was for Aiden's future. And I wasn't alone in the house. They were here. But $5,000. I thought about my savings account. I had about $42,000 saved money I'd been setting aside for emergencies, for home repairs, maybe for a nice trip someday. Thomas and I had always dreamed of going to Europe. "Okay," I heard myself say. "I'll pay for the travel team." Jennifer hugged me tight. "Thank you, Mom. You're the best grandmother ever. Aiden is going to be so excited." The $5,000 came out of my savings, plus another $1,500 for uniforms, equipment, and gas money for all those weekend tournaments. Jennifer and Mark couldn't contribute. Mark's hours had been cut, and Jennifer was working part-time at a dental office, but that money went toward their car payment and Sophia's dance classes. But seeing Aiden's face when he made the team made it worth it. He was a good kid, and maybe Jennifer was right. Maybe this was an investment in his future. In 2018, Brian met someone. Her name was Ashley, and she was a yoga instructor. He seemed happier than I'd seen him in years. They'd met at a coffee shop where Brian was working part-time as a barista. Things got serious fast. 6 months in, Brian came to me with excitement in his eyes. "Mom, Ashley and I are thinking about starting a business together. She wants to open a yoga studio, and I could handle the tech side, the website, booking system, social media. It would be our own thing. No more relying on companies that just fold." "That sounds wonderful, honey," I said. "Starting a business is a big step. The thing is," he continued, "we need startup capital. We found a perfect space, small, but in a great location. The lease requires first and last month's rent plus a security deposit. Then there's equipment, permits, insurance. We did the math, and we need about $30,000 to get started properly." My heart sank. $30,000. That was most of my remaining savings. "Brian, that's a lot of money. Have you looked into small business loans?" He shook his head. "We don't have the credit history. Banks won't give us a loan without collateral. But Mom, this is going to work. Ashley already has clients who'll follow her from her current studio. We've got a solid business plan. I'll pay you back with interest, I promise. Within 2 years, tops." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. My son, finally finding direction, finally passionate about something, finally happy. I looked at my savings account balance, $36,000. If I gave him 30, I'd have 6,000 left. That would be enough for emergencies, right? "Okay," I said. "I'll lend you the money. But Brian, you need to take this seriously. Create a real business plan, track your expenses, build it properly." He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Thank you, Mom. I won't let you down. This is going to change everything." I transferred the $30,000 to his account. He and Ashley signed the lease, bought yoga mats and props, hired a designer for their website. The studio opened in August 2018. For 3 months, it seemed promising. Ashley taught 5 classes a week, and they had a decent number of students. Then in November, Ashley left him. Not just the relationship, she left the business too. Apparently, she'd met someone else, another yoga instructor at a competing studio. She moved to California with him, just like that. Brian tried to keep the studio running alone, but he wasn't a yoga teacher. He couldn't teach the classes. He tried hiring other instructors, but the revenue wasn't enough to cover rent, instructor pay, and expenses. By January 2019, the studio closed. He'd lost all $30,000, my $30,000. When he told me, I felt numb. Not angry, I should have been angry, but I just felt empty. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Brian said, tears in his eyes. "I'll pay you back. I swear I'll pay you back." But how? He was unemployed again, living rent-free in my house, with no prospects and $6,000 in credit card debt from trying to save the studio. I said nothing. I just hugged him and said, "It's okay, honey. It's just money." But it wasn't just money. It was my security, my emergency fund, my peace of mind. In 2020, the pandemic hit. Mark got furloughed from the warehouse. Jennifer's dental office closed temporarily. Brian couldn't find work anywhere. Suddenly, I was supporting all 6 of us entirely on my pension and Social Security. The stimulus checks helped some, but not enough. I was burning through my remaining savings just to keep food on the table. Aiden was 14 now, eating like a teenager. Sophia was 12 and needed new clothes every few months because she kept growing. Jennifer started getting into online shopping. I'd see packages arrive daily, new shoes, clothes, home decor items. When I gently suggested she might want to cut back, she snapped at me. "Mom, shopping is the only thing keeping me sane right now. We're all stuck in this house together. I need something to look forward to." I bit my tongue. My savings dwindled to $3,000, then $2,000, then under $1,000. By 2021, things had stabilized somewhat. Mark was back at work. Jennifer was working full-time at the dental office again. Brian got a job at Best Buy in tech support. But none of them ever suggested moving out. None of them offered to contribute to household expenses. I started feeling resentful. I'd wake up in the morning and find the kitchen a mess from everyone's late-night snacking. I'd do laundry and discover I had no hot water because everyone had showered before me. I'd go to make lunch and find that someone had eaten the leftovers I'd been planning on. These were small things, petty things, but they added up. In 2022, Sophia was 15 and wanted a sweet 16 party. Not a quinceañera, a sweet 16. Jennifer started planning it a year in advance. "Mom, I know we've been tight on money," Jennifer said one evening, "but Sophia's only going to turn 16 once. I want to give her something special. She's been such a good kid through everything." "What kind of party are you thinking?" I asked cautiously. "Nothing crazy. Maybe 100 guests, rent a nice venue, DJ, catering, photographer. I've been getting quotes. We could do it for around $12,000 for a teenager's birthday party." "Jennifer, I can't afford that," I said firmly. "I'm sorry, but $12,000 is out of the question." Her face hardened. "Mom, you paid for Aiden's travel team. That was way more than $12,000 when you add everything up. You're playing favorites. That's not fair. Aiden's baseball was supposed to help with college. And it did. He's got colleges looking at him now. But what about Sophia? She deserves something nice too. Are you saying she's less important than her brother?" The guilt again. Always the guilt. We compromised on $8,000. I'd pay $6,000. Jennifer and Mark would cover $2,000. The party was beautiful. Sophia looked like a princess. 120 people came. There was a DJ, a chocolate fountain, a photo booth, catered Mexican food. Sophia cried happy tears when she saw it all. And my savings account hit zero. Not just low zero. I had $47 in checking and nothing in savings. I was 66 years old with no emergency fund, no safety net, nothing. I started having panic attacks at night. What if something broke in the house? What if I got sick? What if my car died? I went back to work part-time, doing weekend shifts at a nursing home. At 66, after being retired for 3 years, I was back to wiping bedpans and checking vitals. My back ached. My feet hurt. But I needed the money. Jennifer was annoyed that I wasn't available to babysit Sophia anymore on weekends. Brian complained that I was never home to cook dinner. Mark asked why the fridge wasn't as stocked as usual. No one asked why I'd gone back to work. No one offered to help. In early 2024, Brian started dating someone new. Her name was Rachel, and she was a dental hygienist. Ironically, she worked at the same office as Jennifer. They'd been dating for 4 months when Brian sat me down. "Mom, Rachel and I are getting serious. I'm thinking about proposing." I was happy for him, genuinely happy. He deserved love and stability. "That's wonderful, Brian. She seems really nice. Here's the thing," he continued. "I want to do it right. Get a nice ring, plan a special proposal. But I don't have the money saved up yet. I was hoping. Could you help me out? Just with the ring?" "I found the perfect one. It's $4,500. $4,500 for a ring. Brian, I don't have that kind of money." "What about a loan? I'm making decent money at Best Buy now. I could pay you back over the next year." I thought about the $30,000 I'd never gotten back, the thousands spent on everyone else over the years. "I'm sorry, but no. You'll need to save up for it yourself." His face fell, then twisted with something I'd never seen before, anger. "Seriously? After everything you can't help me with this one thing? You paid for Aiden's baseball, Sophia's party, but you won't help me start my life with Rachel? Those were different." "No, they weren't. You play favorites, Mom. You always have. Jennifer's always been your favorite, and you'll do anything for her kids. But me? I get nothing." He stormed out. We didn't speak for a week. He eventually bought Rachel a ring. I don't know where he got the money. Maybe her parents helped. Maybe he went into debt. I didn't ask. They got engaged in March 2024. The wedding was planned for October. Jennifer immediately started talking about how we'd need to help with costs. "It's traditional for the groom's family to pay for certain things," she said. "We'll need to contribute." I felt exhausted, bone deep, exhausted. "I can't," I said simply. "I have no savings left. I'm working weekends just to cover basic expenses." "What do you mean you have no savings?" Jennifer looked shocked. "What happened to all that money from Dad's life insurance?" "That money is long gone. I spent it on this household, on all of you. That's not our fault. You chose to let us stay here. You chose to help with expenses. Don't make us feel guilty for that." Something in me cracked, but I said nothing. I just went to my room. Summer 2024 was tense. Brian and Rachel were busy planning their wedding. They decided to live with Rachel's parents after the wedding, not with me. "Her place is bigger," Brian explained. I felt a strange mix of relief and hurt. Aiden graduated high school in June. He'd gotten a baseball scholarship to UNC Charlotte. I was so proud of him. Jennifer and Mark threw a graduation party at the house using my electricity, my water, my space. They invited 60 people and asked me to help pay for the catering. "I already gave everything for his baseball," I said quietly. "I can't do more." Jennifer rolled her eyes. "Fine, we'll figure it out ourselves." They did figure it out by having the party anyway and letting me deal with the cleanup. On a Sunday afternoon in late August, Jennifer asked if we could have a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the living room: Jennifer, Mark, Brian, and Rachel, who was apparently now part of family meetings. Sophia was out with friends. Aiden was already at college. "Mom," Jennifer started, "we've been talking, and we think it's time to discuss your living situation." "My living situation? In my own house?" "What about it?" I asked. Mark cleared his throat. "Diana, you're 68 now. This house is a lot for someone your age to maintain. 4 bedrooms, a yard, all these repairs that keep coming up. We're worried about you." "I'm managing fine." "Are you, though?" Jennifer leaned forward. "You're working weekends at your age. You're stressed all the time. This place is too much for one person." "But I'm not one person. There are 5 of us living here." "Right," Brian said. "And that's part of the problem. We're all adults now. Rachel and I are getting married and moving out. Sophia's going to college in a few years. Eventually, it'll just be you in this big house, and that doesn't make sense. So what are you suggesting?" Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me some listings. "We've been looking at senior living communities. There are some really nice ones nearby. You'd have your own apartment, no maintenance responsibilities, activities, and social opportunities. You'd be so much happier." I stared at the screen. The communities she was showing me were one-bedroom apartments in buildings with names like Golden Years Estates and Sunset Senior Living. You want me to move into a retirement home? It's not a retirement home, Mom. It's independent living. You'd have your own place, but without all the stress of maintaining a house. And what happens to this house? I asked, even though I already knew. Jennifer and Mark exchanged a look. Well, Jennifer said carefully, we were thinking we could take over the mortgage payments. There is no mortgage. The house is paid off. Right. So we were thinking we could take over the house. We've been living here for 12 years anyway. We've put in our own money for improvements over time. What improvements? What money? The new fridge in 2019, Mark said. That was $2,000. The fence repair in 2021. I paid for the fridge. You paid $200 toward the fence repair after I'd already paid the contractor $1,500. The point is, Jennifer said, her voice getting sharp, we've been here a long time. This feels like our home, too. It would be an easier transition if we just took over. You could sell it to us for below market value. Or you could sign it over, and we'd take care of you if you ever need help. I felt like I was in a dream. A nightmare. Let me get this straight. You want me to leave my home, move into a senior apartment, and give you my house? We're not saying give, Brian said. We could work out a deal. After 12 years of living here rent-free, after I paid for everything, after I spent my retirement savings on all of you, you want me to give you my house and move into a tiny apartment? Mom, you're being dramatic, Jennifer said. This is about what's best for everyone. You're not getting any younger. What happens if you fall? What if there's an emergency? You'd be safer in a community with other seniors. I don't want to live in a senior community. I want to live in my home. But it's not just your home anymore, Mark said. We've built our lives here. Sophia's school is here. My job is here. You're being selfish. Selfish. I was being selfish. I stood up. Get out. What? Jennifer looked stunned. Not out of the room. Out of my house. All of you. You have 30 days. Mom, you can't be serious. I am completely serious. This is my house. My name is on the deed. My money paid for it, and I want you out. Where are we supposed to go? Jennifer's voice was rising. I don't know. Figure it out. You're all adults with jobs. Find your own place. Mom, Brian stood up. Come on. Don't do this. We're family. Family, I repeated. Family takes care of each other, right? Family doesn't use each other. Family doesn't drain someone dry and then ask for more. You're not treating me like family. You're treating me like a bank with free housing. This is because of the ring, isn't it? Brian's face was red. You're still mad I asked for help with the ring. This is because of everything. The $30,000 you lost. The $8,000 for Sophia's party. The $6,000 for Aiden's baseball, which turned into more than $10,000 over the years. The grocery bills, the utility bills, the property taxes I've paid alone for 12 years while you all lived here for free. We didn't ask to live here for free, Jennifer shot back. You offered. I offered temporarily. I offered to help you get back on your feet, not to support you forever. Aiden is 18 years old. You moved in when he was 6. 12 years, Jennifer. 12 years? You couldn't get your own place? Because we were saving money for the kids' future. With my money! You were saving your money by spending mine. The argument went on for another hour. There was crying, yelling, accusations. Mark called me ungrateful. Brian said I was a bitter old woman. Jennifer said I'd regret this, that I was pushing my family away. But I didn't back down. For the first time in 12 years, I didn't back down. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I needed to make sure I did this right. The lawyer confirmed that yes, this was my house, and yes, I could evict family members with proper notice. In North Carolina, I needed to give them 30 days. I had formal eviction notices drawn up and served them to Jennifer and Brian. Jennifer cried. She begged. She said Sophia would have to change schools. She said it wasn't fair. Brian didn't talk to me at all. He just packed his things and moved to Rachel's parents' house. Rachel's parents, apparently, had no problem taking them in. Funny how that worked. Mark tried to negotiate. What if we pay rent? Would you let us stay if we pay rent? How much rent? I asked. I don't know, $500 a month? For a 4-bedroom house in a good neighborhood? When the going rate for a rental would be at least $2,500? No, thank you. They scrambled. Jennifer and Mark looked at apartments and were shocked by rental prices. Jennifer came to me 3 times trying to negotiate, to get me to change my mind. Each time, I said no. I didn't raise you to be entitled, I told her during one conversation. I raised you to be independent and strong. I've done you a disservice by letting you depend on me for so long. It's time for you to stand on your own. Easy for you to say, she shot back. You have a whole house paid off. We have nothing. You've had 12 years of free housing to save money. What happened to all that money? She had no answer. On moving day, September 28th, I helped them load boxes into a U-Haul. Sophia was crying, angry with me for ruining her life. Jennifer wasn't speaking to me. Mark just looked defeated. Brian and Rachel had already moved out the week before. Brian sent me a text. Hope you're happy alone in your big empty house. I wasn't happy. But I wasn't unhappy either. I felt lighter. After they left, I walked through the house. It was messy. They'd left dishes in the sink, trash that hadn't been taken out, stains on the carpet. But it was quiet, blessedly quiet. I spent the next week cleaning, deep cleaning. I scrubbed every surface, shampooed the carpets, cleaned out closets full of stuff they'd left behind. I painted the walls a fresh cream color. I bought new towels and sheets. I rearranged furniture. Then I called a real estate agent. I'm thinking about selling, I told her. She came out, assessed the property, and gave me an estimate, $470,000. $470,000. I thought about it for exactly one day, then called her back. Let's do it. The house went on the market October 15th. We had 3 offers within a week. I accepted one for $485,000, $15,000 over asking. Closing was scheduled for November 30th. I didn't tell Jennifer or Brian. Not yet. I spent October looking at my options. I didn't want a big house anymore. They'd been right about that. But I didn't want a senior community either. I found a 2-bedroom condo in Wilmington, North Carolina, right near the beach. It was in a gated community with a pool, a gym, and a clubhouse. The condo was on the 3rd floor with a balcony overlooking the ocean. It cost $275,000. I put in an offer. It was accepted. With $485,000 from the house sale, minus realtor fees and closing costs, I'd walk away with about $450,000. The condo would cost $275,000. That left me with $175,000. I consulted with a financial advisor. He suggested putting $100,000 into a diversified portfolio of index funds and bonds. The remaining $75,000 would stay liquid, $30,000 in a high-yield savings account for emergencies, $45,000 in a regular checking account for living expenses. With careful management, my pension, Social Security, and the investment income, I'd be comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. And most importantly, secure. The condo closed on November 20th. The house closed on November 30th. I spent the week between closings moving into my new place. I hired movers. This time I was done killing my back. I bought new furniture, a comfortable couch, a real bed with a good mattress, not the ancient one I'd been sleeping on for 15 years. I bought art for the walls. I bought plants. I bought expensive coffee and fancy cheese and good wine. I stood on my balcony that first night, watching the sunset over the ocean, and cried. Not sad tears, relieved tears. On December 3rd, I sent a group text to Jennifer and Brian. I sold the house. I've moved to Wilmington. My new address is below if you want it. I'm starting fresh. My phone exploded. Jennifer called immediately. You sold the house? Where are we supposed to stay when we visit? There are hotels. Mom, how could you do this without telling us? We could have bought it from you. With what money? You couldn't afford to rent an apartment. How would you buy a house? We could have figured something out. This is so selfish. Yes, I said calmly. I'm being selfish. I'm putting myself first for once. And it feels good. She hung up on me. Brian texted, Seriously, you sold our childhood home without even asking us? What about all our memories there? I texted back, Your memories aren't paying my bills. Make new memories in your own place. He didn't respond. Over the next few weeks, I got angry messages, guilt trip messages, Then finally, silence. Christmas came. Usually, everyone would come to my house. This year, I spent it alone in my condo. I made myself a nice dinner salmon, roasted vegetables, a good bottle of wine. I watched the sunset. I called a few old friends from my nursing days. It was the most peaceful Christmas I'd had in years. In January, Jennifer called. Her voice was different, smaller, less demanding. "Mom, I wanted to check on you, see how you're doing." "I'm doing well," I said. "How are you?" "It's been hard. The apartment is expensive, and we're really feeling the rent. Mark's hours got cut again. Sophia's struggling with the new school." I felt a pang of sympathy. But I didn't offer money. "I'm sorry to hear that. But you'll figure it out. You're resourceful." There was a long pause. "Mom, I'm sorry for how we treated you, for taking advantage. I didn't see it at the time, but you were right. We got too comfortable. We took you for granted." "Yes, you did. Do you think, could we come visit sometime? I'd like to see your new place." I thought about it. Let me think about that. We're still rebuilding. It's slow. They're learning to stand on their own, and I'm learning to set boundaries. Brian got married in March. I wasn't invited to the wedding. Rachel's family paid for everything. I sent a card with $100, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Jennifer and Mark are figuring things out. Sophia adjusted to her new school. Aiden's thriving at college. Jennifer got a promotion at the dental office. As for me, I joined a book club at my condo community. I've made friends, other women my age who have their own stories of setting boundaries late in life. I go to the beach every morning for a walk. I'm taking a watercolor painting class. I'm 68 years old, and for the first time in 12 years, I'm living for myself. And I'm not sorry. The words, "Mom, you really need to downsize," did echo in my ears. But now, when I hear them, I smile. Because I did downsize. I downsized the people who were using me, and I upgraded my life.